explorer is taking us into Alamance County, North Carolina, along Route 62, and we are now at the Alamance Battleground, which took place in 1771. Come along and explore with us, if you will. Starting here at the Visitor Center. This is one of the state of North Carolina's 27 state historic sites. The skirmish took place on this site in 1771, and some say the battle was the spark that ignited the American Revolutionary War. At best, that is a stretch. While not responsible for starting the War of Independence, it absolutely did bring a good deal of focus and attention to the rampant corruption that infected the British-controlled colonial government. It is believed that the battle took place across the swale out behind the Visitor Center, the so-called regulators on the far side across the way, and the governor's militia here on the side where I'm standing. The regulators were backcountry colonists who had reached their limit with corrupt government officials. Corruption which permeated not only the government, but large landowners, business owners, banks, basically the elites of society. Favoritism, nepotism, manipulation, embezzlement, collusion, brutality, and retaliation were all standard fare and infected North Carolina's colonial government to its very core. Finding the government uninterested in their grievances, the colonists formed a quasi-military group calling themselves the Regulators. Untrained and undisciplined, they were a ragtag group at best. Governor Tryon called out the militia, marched from New Bern to this spot, and confronted the Regulators on 16 May 1771. In all fairness, the governor initially tried to get the Regulators to disband and go home, but the rebellious Regulators were not having any part of that. By mid-afternoon, patience was wearing thin. It's said that Governor Tryon himself fired the first shot of the battle. No matter who fired first, the firefight was on. The militia opened up and made short work of the disorganized Regulators, sending them fleeing the field in defeat. This ended all further organized protests against the colonial government. While the fight resolved none of the issues colonists had with their government, it shone a bright light on the abundant corruption which affected the colonies under British rule. This dissatisfaction would help lead the colonies into a conflict that would eventually lead to the Revolutionary War and the birth of the United States of America. The Alamance historic site actually does have a direct connection with the Revolutionary War, but it may not be what you think. 10 years later, in March of 1781, in the midst of the War for Independence, a small skirmish took place here when the British and Continental armies bumped into each other. And while little known, the site indeed does have a direct connection to the American Revolutionary War. These two plaques show that while the Regulator movement had been crushed, when the Revolutionary War broke out, not all of the old Regulators fought for independence. Some remained loyal to the British Crown and joined the British Army, and fought against their old comrades in arms. Off in the distance there is the John and Rachel Allen House. Dating to around 1780, the home is not original to the site, but was moved here. Descendants of the Allens lived in the home until 1929. It was moved here in 1966. An old-style wood shaving horse. Out back is the smokehouse. some pretty interesting joinery here at the home's corners. It's believed that John Allen operated a small store out of the back of his home. Rachel Allen gained a reputation in the area for being a healer. Rachel meticulously collected and recorded healing receipts or recipes in 2 books that survived in her family for generations. Her receipts included treatments for fevers, coughs, urinary complaints, kidney stones, and consumption, now known as tuberculosis. That is going to wrap up today's visit to the Alamance Historic Battle Site here in a lovely, quiet part of Alamance County, North Carolina. I thank you for coming along. Until the next time, remember, life is a journey. Enjoy the ride, and thanks for watching.